going on, everybody? Welcome to tonight's broadcast of the ACL. We're coming at you live with lower bracket round 2. We've limited it down to 12 remaining teams, and now we will be eliminating 4 more to get down to top 8 by the end of the night. Apex Predators taking on Foxtrot tonight. I'm Gordo. This is not Shivy. This is TDS. TDS, thank you for joining us, my friend. Glad to have you back on, and we've got ourselves a fun little lower bracket matchup here between Apex Predators and Foxtrot.
Yeah, it's fine if I'm not Shibi. I will say that I'm better than him eventually, so it's all good. And yeah, lower bracket, it's going to be a fun one. It's always great to see these matches when we know that it's do or die. And we're about to see one of the, I would say, more closer matchups. This Apex Predators against Foxtrot. Maybe actually, instead of calling it closer, I would say like more surprising, but still surprisingly close as well, just because of the fact that Foxtrot may not be expected to reach this spot, but have been doing a pretty good job at trying to fight their way doing it. And then Apex Predators, they have been a pretty consistent team. I would say they will be able to like show themselves a little bit more, and I feel like they have been on a really good run, not only here but even in the NACL OQ, some of these players.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, these guys competed as a squad together, and they were able to make a pretty solid run there.
Yep.
They were the guild, and they were able to get pretty deep into those later lower bracket rounds. Now going to be competing to see if they're going to be able to make it a little bit deeper into ACL. You know, they've already outperformed teams like UCI, who got all the way down to that final qualification match, made it to a Game 5 situation, almost made the promo tournament. So definitely a lot of upside to be had here for Apex Predators, and
Yeah.
should be quite the fun game in our Fearless Best of 3 that's going to kick off here before too long. Let's introduce the teams to start things off. First off, on the blue side, it's going to be Apex Predators to kick things off. It's Geiger, Colthrow, Flocon, Psycho, and Barlow.
Yeah, a roster that has a lot of potential here with what they're able to show. I think particularly Flocon really surprising me recently with some of his performances, even showing a side of him that I don't think we've seen a lot of the times. And then Psycho and Barlow, really strong showing as a bot lane. I think they have been pretty competitive against some of the better top bot lanes, I would say, in general. And then ideally, 2 players that you would like to try and play for if it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely here. And now let's take a look at our team coming in on the red side. It is going to be Foxtrot. It's Ember, Institutional, Aquanic, Dravenbaka, and Light and Reset. These 5 players coming together is a little bit more than the sum of their parts here. Ember and Aquanic, the only 2 players who've made an ACL playoffs before, but already in top 12 and competing for top 8 here. It's been quite the surprising run from Foxtrot here, and they've really backed up that rank-based seed that they were given at the start of the season.
Yeah, ideally for them, I would say the better parts, or at the very least, the parts that I'm more excited for are certainly the parts that have already played for the ACL, particularly Aquanic. Last time he played here, I would say he had a pretty good showing. For his first time last time, it was really good, and this time trying to consolidate himself a little bit more as one of the better up-and-coming mid laners. So it's certainly going to be exciting seeing him fare against someone like Flocon that has had a little bit more experience and can try and fight against multiple other mid laners that are really top notch. So it's going to be a really exciting matchup. And then Ember, I think, could be a really good PowerPoint against someone like Geiger, which is not necessarily a weakling. I wouldn't say it like that, but certainly not someone that you expect to out of nowhere be able to like completely destroy you. Like, he's consistent and he can do certain good things, but I feel like Ember may be a really interesting matchup going into him.
Yeah, and now going to be another best of 3 Fearless that will end up sending one of these 2 teams home for the rest of the season, and will take one on towards top 8 territory. Foxtrot, hoping that it's not going to be them on today. We should be getting into draft here in just a few short moments. Definitely looking like it is going to be quite the showdown, though, as these guys have been on a bit of a tear. I want to highlight this Foxtrot team a little bit more, as we haven't gotten to show them on stream much, but an O2 GSL stage about as bad of a start as you could get. But they've really turned around their season here and really started to take down some bigger names as things went on. They flipped that into a 4-2 Swiss stage that allowed them to qualify here. They took down Flippers to be able to finally make their way on in here. Took a game off of Pookie Bears over in the upper bracket where they lost in 3, and then took down Legacy, complete with the Fotacon mixture bot lane just last week to be able to get themselves here. So it's kind of been upset after upset after upset for this Foxtrot team, and looking like they're going to try to make Apex Predators the next victim. We'll see if this is where that train is going to end.
Yeah, it feels like the bigger the doubts they are on this team, the better they end up performing. Because like going from 0-2 to essentially a complete undefeated run until the qualification to playoffs, where in playoffs they were able to take a game off of Pookie. Could have even been just a potential series for them going in the upper bracket, but still taking down the upset against Legacy is still something really good for them. And it's going to be now on them to be able to show up here against Apex Predators, one of the top seeded teams, only down here in the upper bracket because they lost against another of the top seeded teams, so not surprising there. And it's going to be a pretty interesting one, seeing how they are going to be able to perform at the end of the day. But we have to put a lot of focus down there on that bot lane matchup, because like you're mentioning, we already saw Psycho and Barlow being able to perform really well against top-notch bot lanes, but Foxtrot's bot lane being able to upset a bot lane like Vatican and Mixture is no easy feat. So certainly they are going to bring a really interesting fight down there as well.
Yeah, and so it does look like there's going to be a side swap coming on in, so it's actually going to be Foxtrot starting things off on the blue side with Apex Predators on the red. So going to look to secure that first pick, and going to look to see if a contested pick in this series that I'm going to have a close eye on is going to be the Mel. This is a pick that they have actually used in the bot lane on both sides. Psycho, big Mel enjoyer here, has been playing it quite a bit. And then on Foxtrot's side, Light and Reset has been pioneering some Mel support. 4 games of it so far this season. So it's been like a real core pick for this Foxtrot team. We'll see if it's something that we get to end up seeing this time around.
Interesting choice. It has to be like played off of like something similar to a Nico, not necessarily with engage ulti, but with the amount of poke that you go for and just playing off of your re-throwing of abilities back into the enemy. So it can be quite an interesting idea there. The Mel, though, even if it's a contested pick, last time we had an earlier contested pick and we saw the amazing amount of 0 games out of the earlier contested pick. So it could end up just falling into that as well, both teams banning it away and nobody really playing the contested pick at all. But it could be a really interesting one, and I think that Mel, for all that she was set to be, she's still a pretty good niche pick to go for, and she can do really interesting things if you're able to play it to a really good level.
Yeah, for sure. As we get into the draft here, Jace going to be banned away to start things off on the Foxtrot side. Draven, a consistent ban against Draven Baka. It's not just a name, and it is a pick that they have not been allowed to get onto for the vast majority of the season, and that's not going to change right here, right now. Apex Predators not going to mess around with it.
Yeah, I think it's completely understandable to respect the pick here. Even if you're playing Fearless and that pick would be gone away after just 1 game, it's better to just take it away in the pick and ban. As we see the ban from the Vladimir, this is something that I got accustomed to during the NACL OQ's weekend. I still don't understand why, but maybe there's something that I do not know about that Vladimir coming through. But with the bans already out, it went through really quickly, and Barris, Sejuani, and like you were calling the Mel, really early on picked here. So certainly something has to be important out of this Mel pick.
Absolutely. So it does end up going over to Apex Predators. That means that it will more than likely be going into the bottom lane for Psycho. Flocon has not really been a big consumer of the Mel throughout this season so far, so they're going to look to knock that one away. Sejuani coming in the jungle, very likely as well for Colthrow, a classic pick for him. So going to likely be supporting some melees in towards those solo lanes as the Varus on the Foxtrot menu to start things off for them. That'll be going over to Draven Baka. Absent his Draven Viego, though, up and available here for Institutional. Pick that he's drawn frequent bans on, and they're going to finish it off with the Aurora for Aquanic.
Yeah, quite a bit of burst potential there. You have the Varus potentially going poke. Ideally, you would see the AD carry just because there is a Sejuani on the side, but poke is always an option. And then you have a lot of burst damage with the Aurora and the Viego. So could be an interesting trio to play around with if you're able to get a little bit more lockdown for them. As for APR, they have the last pick here potential, and I would think you go for AD carry before it gets banned away. There's multiple options that you can go for. Jean is one of them. The Kalista as well helps quite a bit in terms of trying to have control over the laning phase. There's also Ezreal if you want to leave the Ezreal by themselves in the bot lane, or this could be that Mel in the bot lane and instead go for something else in the mid lane. Yonis is still available, for example.
Yeah, for sure. As now looking to see what they are going to take to pair on up. I think that Yone is a great suggestion. Would really give you a lot of power alongside that Sejuani. Would support having a mage bot lane like this Mel, which is still where we're assuming this is going. Psycho has been the major Mel pilot for the side of Apex Predators. Flocon, definitely somebody who's capable of playing these sorts of melee mids. Geiger's got a fair bit of them in his pool as well. He's already taken the Jace ban, but he's got other options available that he could go for that would work very well alongside this Sejuani as well. Or could look for a support pairing to go alongside this Mel. Okay, it's still Mel, but I think it's Akali for Flocon is what I think we're
okay, yeah, that makes more sense. So it's kind of like a new Flocon special. We've seen him playing a little bit off of the weekend on the NCL OQs, performed really well with the champion, and going against the Aurora here, going to be quite an interesting skill matchup. Who can get the better traits early on, who can try and keep themselves a little bit more healthier with some of these traits, and then at level 6, we're probably going to try and see some bloodshed in that mid lane. But the pairing with the Sejuani can work out really well because you can proc that passive, and then you can just execute a champion really quickly with the whole CC damage duo that they have.
Yeah, really good stuff for them to be able to follow up. And we saw some really good Akali games out of Flocon over the course of the weekend during OQs. So always exciting to see him back and piloting that champion. That's a singed ban coming out of Foxtrot, directed over towards
Makes
Geiger.
sense completely.
Don't want to have to deal with the singed. If somebody's willing to play it, you definitely don't want to challenge them on it. But he's going to get his Yorick instead, which has been his most played throughout the season. And that Olaf coming through on the Foxtrot side.
So the Olaf to respond here, not a bad choice. You still do get caged, so even if you pop the Ragnarok, the cage is still going to be up. There's ways to try and play around that as a Yorick, but against the amount of CC that there is on APR, the Olaf can be quite useful to just run over, and then you finish it off with the Soraka. So the bot lane going to be quite pokey with that Mel picked, and the fact that it was Akali in the mid lane. It is going to be Ezreal and Mel down there in the bot lane, so it is Mel support, because I don't expect this to be an Ezreal support at all. A lot of poke coming in down there in the bot side.
Yeah, for sure. Here's the Soraka going to come on across as the support for Foxtrot. This has been a big pick for them all season long as well. The support pool gets very creative for Light and Reset, and going to be a really strong selection for them now that they already see so much of the bot lane available. I mean, it looks like it's going to be that Mel support for Apex Predators as well, as that Ezreal lock-in kind of confirms.
Just an interesting idea to go for that at this point. Well, to start it up, it does take away the champion, and you do get a lot of the poke value here. I'm just kind of curious if they're going to be able to magnify the execute potential thanks to the Akali and then the ultimate from the Mel as well. The lockdown is all going to be dependent on the Sejuani though, because there's not that much sources of CC apart from the Mel stun. And then the cage from the Yorick, if you count that as CC to a certain degree, it can be used as lockdown to lock people down in a certain place, but it's going to be difficult to be able to target multiple people because of just having the Sejuani as the main engager. The damage though, it's still going to be really high for APR, and they can take down not only objectives but champions really quickly as well.
Yeah, so looks like we're going to have a few more moments until we get unloaded in. But all in all, I think the Soraka Olaf combo is kind of nasty. Like, that's quite the draft success, I think, that Fox trying to piece together for themselves here. Really going to let that champion stay alive for a ridiculous amount of time. Really lets you keep Ragnarok going, and facing down multiple melees feels like it's certainly going to be a eligible option to be able to just keep on hammering away and keep Ragnarok going indefinitely. Will be a very powerful tool for Ember up in the top lane. and now going to be paired on up with a really strong reset comp here with that Viego and solid carries in other positions. Soraka kind of turns more bruisery stuff like the Viego and the Olaf into closer to pure tanks because of how much healing she brings to the table. If you're not able to isolate her and take her down, that's got to be Flocon's responsibility coming into these fights. He's done a fantastic job on the Akali every time he's gotten it over the course of the last week. We saw it multiple times in OQs. This is where he's going to have to show out on it.
Yeah, you have the assassin, you have to assassinate people, and there's multiple targets here that you can go for. I will say though, even though I do agree the Olaf here can have a lot of fun just because there is multiple champions that you can try and reach and kill, having that cage from the Yorick is going to be really ideal to just stopping the Olaf, and if you're able to try and keep him in control until a certain degree, then that way you can play around it really effectively. Still going to be a matchup where the Soraka buffs the Olaf and the Olaf runs amok. It's an Olaf and it can be really, really scary, especially if he reaches that backline and just one-shot CS roll out of nowhere, or if he's just able to keep on pummeling on the champions in front of him and keep Ragnarok alive for as long as possible.
Yeah, so going to be that selection coming out across to round things out. Apex Predators going to need to make sure that this Akali is going to have a maximal value for them. I am curious to see how the Mel support is going to work out against a Varus Soraka lane. I mean, reflecting Piercing Arrow, definitely going to be a real solid option. But beyond that, it's not like Rebuttal's going to have huge, massive value. There is still high base damage to be found in Golden Eclipse and just continuously proccing that passive. And Solar Snare's not nothing. It's another little bit of CC. It's equivalent
Maybe Chains of Corruption. Apart from that,
Chains of Corruption is a good choice. That's true, but still requires kind of front line with your Mel, right? Like you need to be out in front, making sure that it is going to be the full send to try to reflect these abilities at every opportunity possible.
Well, look at it this way: you can reflect one of the axes in one of the team fights, maybe. That is probably what you're expecting to see from the Mel. One X I hate that name. Reflect going back into the Olaf, and that way you can at the very least survive for like 2 seconds longer instead of just getting completely killed. But the poke from the Mel is going to be ideal, trying to single out targets that are not that tanky. The Olaf is the main tanker, yes, but when you look at the other 4 champions, it's effective to have someone like the Mel to poke them down, and then you do have a second execute. So you have the execute from the Kali and the execute from the Mel, so that pairing could end up being quite useful to be able to lock down, to destroy the remaining targets that are going to escape or that are attempting to escape at the start of the fight. There's good uses for it. I'm just not sure if it's going to have either enough damage in the support position or enough value with her utility, because it is kind of cooldown reliant.
It definitely is. So got to make the that utility count every opportunity you get here, and you got to be able to find opportunities to be able to get advantages in that laning phase up against the Soraka. Especially, it's a pain. It's a big pain, man.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of close calls, a lot of situations where it feels like Psycho and Barlow should be able to get a 2v2 kill, but it's just not going to work out. I can already promise you that there will be a couple of those in the tank at one point or another today. Will be still not the only lane to be concerned about on the map, though, and this top lane matchup going to be one for the books as well. I like the Yorick into the Olaf. Obviously, the Yorick was picked first, but still feels like it's a pretty functional matchup. The wall, one of the few things that does stop a Ragnaroking Olaf if you are able to place it well, and this is a pick that Geiger is very well versed on, so wouldn't surprise me if he definitely has what it takes to be able to get those positioned correctly and make sure that he's still going to be able to execute on the Yorick even up against this counter matchup.
Also, if I'm not wrong, 1Q of the axe throw does not delete the minions, if I'm not wrong, on the Yorick. So even if you're trying to play around those minions, they are still going to be dealing a lot of damage onto the Olaf, and they are not easy to kill in this matchup either. So it's going to be convenient for the Yorick to try and harass the Olaf early on, and then as long as you keep him with low health bars, it should be easy for them to be able to control a lot of what the Olaf wants to do or whatever they want to try and attempt there with the Olaf. Like you're mentioning, that the walls though are going to be super ideal to stop any sort of attempt at the Olaf trying to run you down, and even more so trying to stop any sort of gank attempt, because this way you can negate the Olaf from trying to follow up on whatever engage the Viego will pull through there.
Yeah, Really, really important stuff there. So, Juana prevent Viego resets at all points. And there is a bit of a pause, I am told, as we get onto Summoner's Rift. So we're going to have a little bit of additional time. Salt Mine is live, so that's good. We managed to figure all of that out. And I do hear spawn-in noises in the background, so I think we are ready to get started. Game number one onto Summoner's Rift. Foxtrot taking on Apex Predators.
Yeah, there is the buffer there, but it is going to be that for us as there is a Jhin here, so it isn't an Ezreal.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well,
Slight mistakes, but it's still a Jhin in the ball. It is still a Mel support. That at the very least we were right.
Too much, actually.
Yeah, really. Well, there is one change. Now it's easier for the Olaf now to kill the AD carry, because before at the very least you could rush, you can dash away. Now the Jhin is just going to be a sitting duck.
Yeah, he will be definitely a big dive target, more so than the Ezreal, and that will make things a little bit better for the likes of Ember, for the likes of Institutional. They love to see a Draven on the other side that's going to be relatively immobile and going to be ripe for picking off.
Starting trying to like pretty much control the other side of the map. Pretty deep vision on the side of Foxtrot already, actually getting a ward inside of the red side jungle from APR. And there's not even vision for APR at all on the jungle for Institutional, so quite a good early control that they have. It is also first moving into the bot lane pushing really deep, trying to get not only the control but also a really good trade to start off this match, which could end up just being the difference maker for how they want to play it.
Yeah. No, going to be forced on out here by the early stage engage. The trade does end up going in their favor, but just going to be a little bit of early focus on towards the minion wave. Aquanic going to have that range advantage in mid lane, so you definitely have to pay your respects as the early game Akali. Flocon really impressed me with how he's been able to navigate these rough Akali early games over the course of the OQ. This is going to be about as rough of a matchup as it gets, as those auto attack procs on the passive make things really difficult. Just keep Aquanic topped off, keep him high on movement speed, and allow him to just keep on harassing.
Yeah, making it so that he at the very least could reach level 6 really effectively. We saw one matchup where he completely destroyed the opposition, and then another one where he was able to survive until the level 6 mark, and there it was way easier for them to be able to force the fights in their favor. So I'm expecting to see something similar here. It is still a range against a melee matchup, so you do want to try and keep your health bar as high as possible, as a really nice trade on 2 Draven Backup.
Ooh. Yeah, really good damage coming out really early on, and Psycho going to get another 4th shot here. Ravenbaka able to get the distance away in time to be able to keep himself safe and sound. And that Soraka going to keep the healing going. You can see that harass from Barlow having some pretty high value, but does feel like the Soraka a little bit of a time bomb in that department. You're not going to get the 2v2 kills early. You are probably going to struggle to get them later on unless you can manage to really isolate the Soraka.
Yeah, she's going to be a pain in the bot as much as possible. So it's important to see how many trades they can find where they can do a good amount of damage. Because so early on with that initial trade, it was a 4 before in terms of summoners. So pretty equal in general. And they also blew most of the defensive, the protective summoners. The flash is still available for every one of them, so maybe we can see a play where they can try and flash away and not die immediately. But it's still so much lockdown they are using here.
Oh, there's first blood picked up in the 2 versus 2. I said the window was closing, but they find an opportunity before it does. Another snare onto Draven Baka gives a 2-on-2 kill to Psycho and Barlow.
Yeah, they get a pretty good 2v2 kill there, and this is something that we have seen so far in the OQs all along, as Ember taking an interesting trade here. He may actually need to be scared about the ghouls, although he does have a lot of healing.
Yeah, tough it out. Was really amping up that damage and healing there. I think Geiger makes the call that he was not going to win the one-on-one, and I think he is right about that. Very close brawl that just doesn't quite come up in New York's favor. That is a good win for Ember, especially in a situation where Foxtrot's bot lane is starting to fall behind. You love to be able to build up those advantages elsewhere.
Yeah, as always, if you win on one side of the map, you have to get something on the other side of the map. So really good there by Ember. I think a big difference in that fight as well was the lack of ghouls, because there was only one ghoul for the Yorick instead of the three. Oh, another big trade here on Draven backhand. This duo works really nicely after looking at how they are pairing with their lockdown abilities. Has been really good. They are not throwing Barlow's CC first. Instead, they are waiting just with the damage from a safe distance. They throw the CC from the Jhin after, and then they just lock down with the harder to put CC from Barlow. It's a really nice three-step combo that they are able to pull off, and it works out massively for them as Institutional may come here.
Oh, another bit.
They can kill Soraka.
Coming on through. Oh, Light and Reset gets the double root. I think Psycho and Barlow both thought they were going to be able to outrun Equinox, but they don't. And so Light and Reset just gets out of there, no problem. There's a good reflect. That's a high-value reflect onto a piercing arrow. It's Coldthrow making an appearance in the top lane. Going to trade flashes with Ember, as that would have potentially been a kill if he got locked inside of the wall.
It is technically, though, a 2-for-1 in terms of flashes, because Geiger did flash way before. So at the end of the day, it's just an equal part of trading flashes that they are able to get. As another root, once again, they can go in with the damage they have. It's so much burst potential, and if not for Psycho not having a little bit more damage there, it could have been much more detrimental. But it's another barrier out, and Soraka may be trying to heal, but it's not enough at this point.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough position below when your Soraka's not actually fully online yet. Still level 4 here is Light and Reset. I mean, 2 ranks in the heal. That's certainly not going to be enough to keep your Varus topped off when all of this poke just keeps on connecting. I think Barlow putting on a little bit of a show for what this Mel support can offer. Did the early tier, the Goddess purchase, just to keep stacking up that mana, and is just in the game of spamming Q each and every time it is up and available.
Yeah, really feeling like they not only understand how they needed to play this sort of matchup, but taking the better traits in general, just feeling so much more cohesive as a duo than what Draven back and Light and Reset are trying to do there. And it really goes to show how impactful they have been so far going back into the OQ matchups as well as tonight. They are doing such a good job at being a big pressure point for Apex, and they are also trying to make it so that they can be a pressure point in future points of the game. Also, this duo makes way more sense than the Ezreal after looking at the combination, because with the lockdown that the Jhin does have compared to something like the Ezreal, it was going to be much easier to be able to lock down targets like the Varus, like the Soraka, and any other champion not named Olaf with an untargetable ultimate.
Yeah, definitely here. And going to be a really focused mid-game in and around this Olaf here. Still doing a solid job in the top lane, has lost out on some of that advantage that he had built up earlier on, thanks to the pressure applied by Coldthrow. Institutional getting maybe 1 extra camp out of the ordeal. Has ticked over to level 6 now, so maybe going to have a little bit of additional unlocked gank power. Aquanic playing this safe, as Barlow is waiting in the wings, come and make a play, but Aquanic smells that something is up, and it's not really going to walk far up at all, just using the abilities to continue to secure that CS.
Yeah, does not want to risk it at all, and I think that's the right choice, especially because there is multiple members already in the top side trying to secure the grubs, and they also know that bot lane has only the Jhin by himself, so they are not going to be comfortable in not leaving any sort of a space in this position. They're trying to respond with the dragon. They know that the Viego is doing the dragon thanks to Psycho's W hitting there, and it's not going to turn into anything else more than a trade of objectives. 3 for grubs for 1 dragon, and also what else they can find. Flocon, he doesn't know his ambition.
No, he does not, and will have to fall on back. Foxtrot successfully secure the first dragon of the game for themselves. Flocon now post level 6 gonna feel a lot more comfortable in the matchup up against Aquanic. And you know, for as much harass as he was taking early on and as much as we talked about it, Flocon kind of does it again here. He's dead even in CS. He's not behind at all from those early stages where he had to play melee into ranged. And no matter how good the harassment coming in from the Aurora is, it just doesn't have any lasting effect, and it doesn't do anything to actually deny the ability for them to be able to continue farming on up. scaling into that later game assassin. There was Chains of Corruption thrown out onto Psycho. There's now going to see curtain call opened up here. Dravenbaka kind of isolated. Light and reset. Backed on away. Fourth shot comes on through. This could be an execute. Barlow pops the golden the golden eclipse, but it will be a barrier out of Dravenbaka to stay alive.
Yeah, they use the barrier once again. They are throwing out so many good skill shots there, being able to force the Jhin into a really awful spot. And even though he does have a good amount of poke, like every time he tries to walk forward to make some of that poke be useful, he just gets attacked by the Jhin W, by the Mel E, by every bit of damage that the Mel does have, and just makes it really difficult for them to be able to have some sort of advantage in that sort of training pattern, with that sort of training pattern. And it's not like the Soraka will out damage you. She'll out heal you, but not out damage you. So if you're going to walk forward and take that to the face, you're bound to be forced to back away, like Dravenbaka and like Reset are doing right now.
Yeah, absolutely here. So, going to take another reset here. They're down a little bit over a wave, but other than that kill earlier on, not like they've been permanently set behind, as Ember finds himself face-to-face with Flocon as he roams on down. Really just going to be a trade that benefits Flocon, though, at the end of the day. They are dropping a wave top, so Geiger interested in getting back over there as quickly as possible, but will lose out on a couple of minions for his efforts.
Yeah, Geiger going to still be a little bit behind, but it's not going to be the end of the world. That was way too close for comfort there, and another opportunity that goes by just as lightly for the bot lane of APR, but they are still going to push the issue here. And even though we haven't seen much action apart from that first blood, there is a lot of damage that has been going down onto the turret plates. I think top lane already got one in favor of the Ola, and then you're trying to see the push here by the side of APR.
Yeah, they're really thanking their lucky stars that they got those grubs earlier, because it's giving them that extra push power to still take advantage of this bot lane matchup, as there's going to be Ragnarok pop by the Olaf. Geiger gets him inside the Dark Profession and will just be an escape with the TP. Now going into a dive at the bottom lane. Dravenbaka still getting focused. There's going to be some healing coming out across towards Light Reset and towards Dravenbaka, and he manages to stay alive. Psycho trying to get back in there, but finds Ember. That's going to be the kill back over to Foxtrot as they tie up the scoreboard.
Yeah, the turret there being the difference maker in that position, because she should have been... Oh, wait, Flocon.
And in mid, Flocon got a lot of places to go. Ult flashes away, and Flocon will stay alive. It's a trade of flashes, institutional. Used his to get in there for the early maw.
Yeah, the timing there ends up being really, really good for the flash from Flocon, able to escape there. And then revisiting a little bit on that bot lane dive, I don't think the idea was necessarily bad. The problem is that the one that ends up tanking more than one turret shot is Psycho. Psycho takes so much damage off of that one turret shot, and then is forced to flash away from that position. If it's Coldthrow, the one that tanks it, you can get that kill really easily, and it's very... At the very least, it would have been a 1-for-1. But in that position, it ends up being much worse for them.
Indeed it does. And be some clearing out of the vision in the bottom side for now, as the next dragon coming up in about 40 seconds will be a big priority to get onto for both teams here. Don't want to give Foxtrot the free 2-0 dragon start, but maybe going to be an option for Apex Predators. I see APR, I always want to say Aporia. There's going to be curtain call opened up. A couple of early shots connecting on a Dravenbaka. The Soraka should be able to keep them topped off. They will back away from one another. I don't think that damage from Psycho is going to stick very much at all.
Pretty sure it already got healed. Yep. It barely lasted at all at this point. And importantly, because of what happened in that previous play, there is now... Oh, Barlow. Should be fine.
Pops the rebuttal to get that movement speed and that invulnerability to get out of danger. Is a 3-on-3, near 4-on-4. Ember coming down, going to turn this into a numbers advantage for Foxtrot. They do look to get on in here. Flocon sees them both coming through mid lane, but numbers advantage kind of locked in. Coldthrow pulling the trigger, trying to blow up Dravenbaka, but with Light and Reset right there, he just shrugs it off. Geiger pushing on the top side. This is their chance to equalize. Apex Predators just need to make sure they don't give up extra in addition to the dragon.
It's only going to be the second dragon of the game. It is going to be Hexic Soul, but it's not going to be as meaningful as they get the stun here. Maybe they can try and force a little bit more. Ooh.
Good damage.
Bardo is throwing the ultimate out just to see if he can actually get the execute going, but it's not going to work out that effectively as he takes a huge chunk of damage to the face there. After pushing this wave, more than likely we're going to see the Jhin back away and just get his first item as well as soon as possible. But we can see Draven back at just being really strong at this point. May not have the flash to try and reposition himself, but with the Soraka and the huge amount of damage from lethality, should be pretty easy for him to be difficult target to deal with.
This is one of those things that weird picks like Soraka just introduced to the game. You don't see it that often, so you'd see Apex Predators kind of struggling with what the thresholds are here a little bit. They get an early Oblivion Orb. They think we're cutting the healing. We could go for these kind of burst plays, and it just doesn't work out. There's going to be an early Ragnarok pop by Ember. He does have the flash. Will clear the wall. Meanwhile, Institutional finished off the Rift Herald.
Okay, that's funny.
That's the 3 objectives, if I'm not mistaken. No, it's just 2 for the side of Foxtrot here. Or no, it's 3. That's 3.
It's 3 because it's 2 dragons and Rift Herald. Yeah, the Grubs did go for APR, but there is 3 objectives in favor of Foxtrot. So it should be this likely that they were looking for. But also, funnily enough, it happens while there was a gank happening on top lane. That's not something you typically see at all.
Flowcon can kill this, I think. I mean, this is a 3-level difference.
Better respect.
He's just worried about getting Chains of Corruption under the turret. And so he will let it go. Wish would also be a problem, which is up and available for Light and Reset. So they do decide to let it go. So it's first turret to Apex Predators. First objectives to Foxtrot. 2 more kills going to decide who gets the feats this game.
It's going to go in favor of the side that can get those extra kills. Should be a matter of the next team fight. The third dragon of the game is in 250, and the Baron Bob is going to take a little bit longer. So we're going to have a team fight soon enough. The problem is knowing when the team fight will happen. But apart from that, there's a lot of control that both teams have been able to accrue, thanks to taking down the turret in the top side, particularly for APR, but also for Foxtrot, even though they don't have a turret control.
There's going to be a Glacial Prison coming on out. Chain CC all focused in on towards Institutional. He'll barely be able to stay alive. The Soraka healing going to protect him from the Golden Eclipse. And there will be Ember finishing off the first kill onto Barlow. Going to keep on chasing now. 2 kills. 1 more to go for the feat, and the fight win for Foxtrot. Geiger, though, isolating Dravenbach, who's going to have to flash away, but Geiger's all over him. Won't quite be having enough to finish off the kill, but he does get some alone time with the turret, and this proc, I think, will take the tower down. Get to second here. Aquanet coming in on the side. There's a charge in for the Rift Herald. Doesn't hit the turret. Goes for the knockup on a Flowcon. Flowcon just executes him. An Institutional. That's the wrong target for Shelly, my man.
Yeah, they can try and follow up here, but I think that just getting that kill is completely fine. Shelly's getting killed by the turret, and here Ember doesn't have ultimate anymore. Maybe they could look a little bit more aggressive, but Falcon does not have an ultimate either in this position. So I respect the fact that they are not going to take it, and that means that just 1 more kill for those feats.
Yeah. Coming down to the wire. 1.5K gold lead over to Apex Predators, although 2 dragons to Foxtrot's name. 1 minute to go, they would be able to get themselves on a soul point. Gotta believe that that's where that kill number 5 is going to occur at minimum. And already Apex Predators coming in, trying to sweep out some vision, trying to exert whatever control they can, make sure that this dragon goes to them.
Yeah, we're talking about the potential kill in that next fight, and before someone just randomly dies in the mid lane or something like that, and it just ends up being the difference maker there. But gold wise, you can see how close it is for them. It should be a potential play for both sides that can work out well enough, but we just have to wait and see what they are going to try and fight for. I feel like Dragon can be a little bit ignored for Foxtrot and look for something else.
Institutional, wow. Gets found early on. Good damage coming on.
Geiger is in a great spot. Draven has the flash.
Middle, just a beaten on the bottom lane. Dravenbach can't get out of the Dark Procession and will be finished off. But Geiger going to be traded back onto. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Ember gets executed by Flowcon. Stolen away. A Yorick form from Institutional will be dodged away from. And it will end up as a 2-for-1. Apex Predators in the lead on the map right now as they fire away with that curtain call, and this should be a cleanup onto the dragon.
Yeah, the 2 kills plus the dragon should be the objective that APR are able to get at the end there, and that's off of the fact that they have control over this red side jungle. They are able to push in really effectively. Geiger also was pushing on the side, on the middle lane on the side, so they can get a really good pincer maneuver, and kill Driven back is really easy when he has no flash. Yes, you have the healing from the Soraka, but even then, if you have enough damage, that's going to be just completely enough to be able to get the kill in that position, as Falcon gets the last outer turret of the side for Foxtrot, and now will be able to have even more space pushing into the jungle.
Really good stuff here. Otacon spawns bottom side. Another big wave crashing top. Geiger should be able to hoover this up. It will indeed be those feats going on over to Apex Predators. Another slight advantage to them on top of the gold lead they've already accrued. That turret finish off does do a lot to equalize the standing gold, as all of these outer turrets have just been swept away by Apex Predators. They've just been a little bit quicker on those plays.
Yeah, their reaction for some of those plays have been much better, and their execution as well has been much better. It's good to see how they are ready to react to any sort of play that Coulter wants to go for, and that is something that we did see also in the NACL OQs. Like, I know we go back a lot to it, but their performance is something that gives us a really good base to know what they can pull off here, and Coulter played a really good game of Sejuani as well.
Full throw. Definitely a well-adapted Sejuani player. It's been a big part of the meta for a couple of years now, and important to have as part of your repertoire. Now going in for another engage. Nice dodge from Draven Baka to avoid that Glacial Prison. Will be able to get himself out of here. Also avoids the Solar Snare. Now maybe a good clapback opportunity for Foxtrot.
Really good
call opened up. Only going to be connecting onto the frontliners for now. Colthrow already taken very low. Dark Recession going to be finished on off. And Light and Reset, the one who actually manages to get the kill, is Aquanic leading the charge for a little bit more. Institutional advances forward. Going to immediately take a couple of harassment abilities. And maybe they're going to back on away now, but they've got Flocon low and they've got Flocon isolated, not quite connecting the Spectral Ball, but Aquanic will finish him off with one more weirding. Ember still leading the charge, Ragnarok or no, and it's a 2-for-0 fight. Foxtrot managed to punish a failed attempt onto Draven Baka's life.
Yeah, the initial attempt may have not been necessarily bad coming in from APR, but after they failed, it just meant that they needed to run away really quickly, and it's so well played by the side of Foxtrot, not only punishing, but finding so many good angles. Oh, the pullback!
Oh,
I didn't know that worked like that.
Their best to save alive. They will be able to get the Otacon, but they lose Aquanic in the process. Gotta respect the rebuttal.
That worked like that. That's the first time I've seen that sort of rebuttal there with the Aurora, and it means that even though they lose the Otacon, they do get a good kill back onto Aquanic, and it also opens up a little bit more of the space once again to be able to collect some of the Pinion waves, move around into the map, and try and get a little bit more vision control for that dragon fight in 2 minutes.
Definitely. And now going to be 5-5 on the scoreboard. Only a couple hundred gold separating these two teams. And again, a bit of a closer game than we bargained for. I mean, Foxtrot just continuously taking teams that we have favored far above them the distance. Just continue to be impressed with what this team's been able to show us throughout the ACL season. The comeback kids from 0-2 GSL to a 4-0 Swiss in order to qualify for playoffs, and now taking the fight to a third solid contender that you would have positioned well above them in playoffs rankings in a row.
It's surprising the way that they've been playing, and the way that they've been able to respond in situations that should have been really bad for them has been really good as well. It's a good showing of how ready they are as a team, that even when someone is attempted at getting picked up, they are all ready to react and ready to go for the play. That being said, there is no teleport on the Olaf. He needs to be over here on the bot side, and then that means that Aquanic needs to respond as the Aurora, because if not, this York would be left alone to push.
Flocon, ooh, does manage to connect the Shuriken flip, but not going to be able to burst out onto
Everett. Wait, Geiger.
Aquanic thinks he can solo out Geiger. He's pretty close to it. One more twofold Hex would do it. Good dodge from Geiger, but it doesn't get him out of the woods here yet, although his minions are
the minions
non Aquanic here. and the two will disengage from one another. That was a crazy flash from Geiger that actually paid off massively. Unless Institutional just finds him, which it looks like he will. Stun connects, one more Q, and there is the Heartbreaker for Institutional to get his first kill of the game.
And Heartbreaker for Geiger. He did as much as he could to try and escape there. Not enough to be able to get out of it alive. A really nice run by Institutional. And that means that even though they do force something out of the Aurora trying to get a kill in that position, they are still going to not be yet in the front foot. They do still have a little bit of gold lead and also push in the bot lane, but they need a little bit more to get full control of this game. And the Dragon may be their choice.
There's going to be harassment coming through on towards the remaining members. There's going to be a tumble in on towards Draven Baka. Flocon finds his man. It's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, or will it? Flocon able to go into the Shroud, able to stay alive. He gets out through the Dragon Pit while they work their way through Ember. Flocon makes it happen. 1 versus 4. He gets the kill and gets out clean.
Follow-up onto the picks are just so good. Instantaneous Glacial Prison into instantaneous engage by Flocon. They find so many good angles in that position. And then at the end, the execute damage plus also the fact that the Olaf was dying on the other side made for perfect distraction to be able to get out of that position. And I'm pretty sure the one that got the kill was Mel. So showing that the execute plus execute combo that they have right now can be really, really good.
Now, working on towards the Baron. Apex Predators looking in a good position to be able to clean this one up. There's going to be Foxtrot trying to stage a defense. They know that they can't let this one go for free. Baron dropping lower and lower below 3k. Flocon just throws himself in there 1 versus 5 to create the space. Finds an escape route through Aquanic, tumbles away, survives the proc of Storm Surge. Are you kidding me, Flocon?
Not even the minions can kill them at the end. The chickens were looking for that kill, but it's not enough. And it's going to be Baron buff for the side of APR. They do lose the teleport by Flocon, but I think greater good is obtained after that play. They will also be able to push this wave of Baron or of super minions into trying to break open the base, give them a little bit more leeway, and allow for them to have more control in general.
Draven Baka face to face with Flocon. Doesn't have any ultimate this time. I think this is going to be the one where they actually finish him. Psycho's blown up Aquanic though on the other side. So it's a 1-for-1 trade. Curtain Call opened up, going to start landing on towards Institutional. These shots finding each and every one of them on towards Institutional.
Oh, the lockdown, the
get out with the portal. But they lock down Ember and finish him off. Now taking the portals after him, looking to keep this play alive. Throw flashing forward, finds Draven Baka. Here comes Deadly Flourish, dodged away from Barlow coming on the side, gets in there with the Solar Snare. It's going to be Institutional, the first one being locked down. Stun coming on across, Wish trying to keep him standing. Draven Baka stands up for a couple more auto attacks out of Psycho. And Psycho will be able to stay alive for the time being. It's still a 4 versus 3 on the push. Another Solar Snare comes out. Another one lands on an Institutional. And they're going to get this turret. They're going to get these kills. They're going to get something for all the resources expended on this play. It'll just be the tower for now. And Apex Predators will back away and inner turret welfare.
Really good cancel there on the Chains of Corruption. If that connects, probably could have been at the very least 1 Constellation kill to try and take back, but it's not going to be the case. Great Rebuttal, and that way they are all backing to base. They are all going to get their new stuff, and they are going to be able to fight even harder against the side of Foxtrot thanks to having those extra items.
Definitely. Now, starting to pull away a little bit here are the Apex Predators. Flocon make a huge difference in those last couple of fights. They finally find him, but it is off the back of a disfavorable play once again. And this Olaf has lost his lead. They have been able to isolate and pick him off multiple fights in a row now. Institutional caught by Throw, and he will not be escaping this one. Already used the Heartbreaker. Geiger picks up the kill. Now Ember going to be the next target. Flashes out with the Ragnarok. Flocon's following further, though. Not going to have enough damage with Light and Reset there with the healing, though, so he's going to have to back out away. There is that Between Worlds. Aquanic shows up with the damage and gives that kill over to Draven Baka. It's a 1-for-1 so far, but Apex Predators keeping up the push with Baron.
Yeah, they still have the cannon minion coming in on the side. They still have some of the members able to try and push there. And it was such a quick reaction. They decided immediately to pull the trigger and try to kill Ember in that position. Doesn't pan into a kill thanks to the healing from the Soraka. But a 1-for-1, and they still are able to keep up the base push with those super minions is going to be really important for them. As the dragon will spawn in a minute and 10. That's another dragon to try and get down if you're on the side of APR to stop any sort of soul point. And it's also going to keep on giving them really good stats in terms of the attack speed.
Now, working on this blue buff, securing it for the whole squad. 50 seconds to go on dragon number 5. Apex Predators feeling very confident in their ability to keep control around these objectives, even going to try to push for a little bit more onto enemy red buff here. Bo3 happy to start this fight off on the front foot. Knows that he's got Geiger here in his back pocket. Flocon coming through to catch the wave in the bottom lane. If it's a 5-on-5, it feels like Apex Predators have won each and every one of those lately.
Yeah, it feels like if they keep on throwing coins out and they end up winning all the time, it's going to be looking quite good for them. That being said, their setups have been really nice, and Coldthrow has a go button that as soon as it gets even just slightly touched, everyone is ready to go follow up on him. Really good showing by the side of APR in that sense, and they just have a few steps that they need to take to be able to close down this series. This first dragon may be one of them as well.
Yeah, full rushing down mid here, but Apex Predators are wise to this. They're just going to chase them and say, all right, well, now we've cut you off. Who cares about the dragon? We're going to take the fight. There's going to be Glacial Prison going wide, not quite connecting. The front line shows up a little early and will be melted down. Institutional is in there. Going to be able to get his first reset. Flocon used R1. Where's that perfect execution coming out across, going to try to find somebody to finish off. Geiger
one of them
takes down Institutional. And look at Flocon tumbling in and through the bottom lane, executes the support. It's a 2-for-2 fight so far, but the damage dealer's still here for Apex Predators. Just have to be mindful of Ember. Fidbaka pretty low as well, but all in all, not a bad fight for Foxtrot given the position that it began in.
Exactly, like it started really well.
Wow.
Ooh,
Rebuttal
so
into Deadly Flourish, and now Aquanix cut off. Uh-oh. That went from an even fight to a really bad one pretty dang fast, although Flocon might be a little bit caught out here. He will be able to walk away, but Aquanic is forced out, and this dragon is going to Apex Predators.
Should be 100% theirs. They have the Sejuani coming in really soon as well, as also having the fact that Institutional is not even alive. So pretty comfortable, pretty nice way of obtaining the dragon here in this position, one step closer to having the soul in their favor. And the previous fight, it was a little bit all over the place, but the members that needed to just have space to be able to fight were completely left untouched. This Jhin Psycho able to pump out damage really effectively, and then also the amount of time that it takes for them to be able to take something on the side of Foxtrot opens up a lot of opportunities for APR, because the longer it takes, the easier it's going to be for them to get another set of resets and try and survive for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Now, grouping up around mid, there's Apex Predators. Baron already getting started by Foxtrot here, but surely they see what's going on. Aquanic gonna get found. Has to throw down between worlds to escape. Flocon now might be a little isolated, does still have access to the perfect execution, goes through Institutional, but is being chased by all 5 members. Flashes out, Institutional going to match it, not connecting the Spectral Maw. This is an interesting curtain call here. Gets 2 shots onto Institutional and then has to cancel it. And now it's the opposite of the previous fight. Look at Apex Predators. They got the inside track in mid.
They have everything in their favor to keep on the push here. And there's also an Akali that is waiting to maybe look if they can stop some sort of backs. Although Olaf still has Ragnarok, going to be one of the harder objectives to try and lock down. But they are doing a good job at trying to, at the very least, thread the needle, take down the turret, and then after forcing everyone out of the jungle, they move back into Baron buff to take it down.
This is a Baron start from Apex Predators. They are down a lot of cooldowns, although Flocon already has perfect execution back. Looking like they are going to try to challenge for this one. Already below 8k. Institutional coming in on the flank. Does have access to the smite. Does not have the Heartbreaker. Dig damage on the Geiger, and he just gets blown up. Now it's a 5 versus 4. Apex Predators realize they can't fight this. They have to get out of here. Coldthrow getting targeted as well. Between Worlds lands on both carries. Apex Predators are routed. They only lose 1 member, but now Foxtrot maybe can get right back onto this one.
Yeah, it should be enough for them to try and force something in that position. Members need to back away here, particularly Psycho. So it's going to be a bit harder to be able to stop this without an AD carry. But they are forcing it on, forcing them on the side. They do have the ignite.
Colthrow gets Arctic Assault blocked. He's got to walk in here on foot now. 2K on the Baron. Colthrow is dead. And Institutional will secure Baron for Foxtrot. It's Flocon isolated in the middle of 4, going to try to get a little bit of magic together, but Dravenbaka just needs one auto to put him in the grave. 4 members down, soon to only be 3 as Geiger's respawning, but Foxtrot reasserting themselves in game number 1.
Yeah, they had their chance on the side of APR, but a couple of missteps here and there give so much opportunities for Foxtrot, and they do a really good job at capitalizing with that. Able to not only find the right moments there, but also to quote-unquote kind of be much more ready as a team to respond to that situation, and it worked out really, really well. It's just a matter of time of how the next fight will happen, and if it will happen, although being sold the next Dragon fight, probably it's going to happen.
That is very, very likely. It could be a potential Hextech Soul, like you said, for Apex Predators, and that could be thing that puts the nail in the coffin in this game. But Apex Predators, they were pulling away for a while there. This is still incredibly close, though. Foxtrot piecing together multiple good fights. Their Viego's online now. The damage on these flanks from Aquanic cannot be disregarded, and Flocon isn't having these perfect team fights the way that he was earlier.
Yeah, it kind of has been shutting off a little bit on the side of APR. Maybe it's the complacency of them winning the previous fight so effectively that they thought that they didn't even need to try even harder there. But it's still nice movements by Foxtrots, and they're standing where they need to move and how they need to move. Really good to see, though, and it's looking like they want to try and do something else here.
Psycho takes the portal. He and Barlow a little isolated. Look at that damage onto Barlow. Aquanic finds a target and blows them up. And now it's 4 versus 5. Foxtrot with Baron at their backs looking to crack open the base.
And they have everything in their power to be able to attempt it. It's going to take a little bit longer before the Ranger can come back there, but it's going to be important to see if they are, at the very least, going to be able to have some sort of defense with Bardo down.
Oh, there's lockdown. They found Psycho. Dravenbaka connecting with the chains of corruption, and both bot laners now gone for Apex Predators. With only Akali here, they have no way to really clear the waves. They're going to go to look for the end. Institutional getting focused onto, but the healing from Soraka is just too much. Geiger's getting forced out on the other side. Flocon has got to take out Light and Reset. Wish going to keep his health bar high. Flocon's got to retreat back away. Barlow's on the respawn, but everybody's dropping around him. And Foxtrot, off the back of these picks on the bottom lane, are going to pull game number 1 back. They're going to keep their streak of upsetting favorites, and they are going to start off this series 1-0.
Yeah, and full credit to them. Psycho got exploded in that last push there. Wasn't even expecting him to die just like that. Flocon was trying to find a good teleport angle just as Bardo was also spawning, but after the Jhin dies, you have barely any other way to try and make a fight happen there. And huge props to how Foxtrot played it. They find really good angles to turn around the game. It was looking really dicey after dying time and time again. I think it comes up of 2 things: really good positioning from their members to fight the right fights at the right time, but also way too much overcommitment from the side of APR. Because as far as I credit the engages that Colthor was looking for and how quickly they reacted to it, they were pushing the trigger way too many times, way too flip-floppy. And at the end, it pays the price. They forced out too many times that situation. It bites them back, and they end up losing the game.
Yeah, and really had an opportunity to kind of close the game out there. You got to look back towards the over-aggressive engage when they were taking the inside track towards mid on the side of Foxtrot. I think Apex Predators really had them in a bit of a checkmate situation there by choosing not to go for the Dragon. They had a huge lead and an opportunity to flex it on them in a guaranteed fight by cutting them off on the opposite side, and they kind of botch it, right? They send Geiger and Colthrow in too early, and both members are dead before the damage is there to back them up.
Yeah, the credit that we gave them is still there in terms of how they play as team, but this sort of mistakes can happen as well, and it's those slight moments where if they do not commit well enough to play, that can end up affecting them, and that's exactly what ends up happening. They force the issue too heavily in one particular place. You force someone like Iger or Flowcone or anyone that is not really equipped to try and fight it out, and they end up paying the price there. Although look at the damage by the Mel just quickly, 36k, and still not able to win the game. But that's what happens when you play in this support position. If this was a mid lane, maybe the game looks a little bit different.
Maybe we'll have to see. Well, I guess we won't find out. Always going to be able to look
she's
back with
out.
hindsight. But we are going to have brand new drafts for game number 2. So definitely going to see what Apex Predators can put together to try to fight their way back into this series. But we're going to throw into a quick break in a moment. But before then, want to shout out Zen Market. Thank them for sponsoring the ACL. Have you ever had a problem longing for that special Japanese item that you cannot find locally? Zen Market's got a solution for you. They are your one-stop solution for buying products directly from Japan. They'll help you buy items from over 10,000 shops, as well as place bids on auctions on your behalf. They'll even consolidate all your items safely into one box that they can ship internationally. They provide excellent customer service in 19 languages, which is why Zen Market is trusted by over 2 million users worldwide. Check out the panel below the stream or click the link in chat to check them out now. If you sign up with promo code Aegis, you will get 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Thank you again to Zen Market for supporting the ACL, and we will see you guys after a quick break.
日本限定あ全マーケットを使おうっと
今日は老舗をしっかり見て回らなくちゃね。
いやいや、ここはジャンル順でしょ。
名前順の方がいいんだよ。
現代か洋代の名前順？
あ？
ローマ字それともひらがな？僕は色で並べるのが好きなんだけどね。
え？
全部に対応させよっか。
おお。
80年代のホラーゲーをください。これでみんな幸せ。
ありがとう全マーケット
All
Welcome back, everybody, to tonight's broadcast of the ACL, where Foxtrot are up 1-0 over the likes of Apex Predators. Now one game away from locking themselves a position in top 8 and eliminating the NACL sister team here from ACL Spring 2025. Let's see what the Apex Predators are going to have to cook to try to bring themselves back into this one. So we are ready and rearing for draft.
They're staying on the same sides from what it looks like, unless I'm missing something, but I think they're staying on same sides. So maybe this time around they try and give a much permanent counter pick to Geiger instead of picking the Yorick blindly before they want to go for something else, because I don't think necessarily the Yorick was the problem there, but it did happen multiple times where the Yorick wasn't able to do much against the Olaf. He was able to lock him down in the cage, but that wasn't enough to be able to not die consistently. So maybe that's some sort of approach that they will try and take whenever thinking about this sort of game.
Yeah, definitely here. So the Jace going to get banned on away. They're going to stick to that plan from game number 1. We will see if there's going to be anything else changed up. Apex Predators picking red side for game number 2, by the way. So does mean that Foxtrot's going to be able to get back on towards the first pick train. Last pick will go over possibly to Geiger. We'll see where they want to use that ban. And then the Soraka and the Mel both being gone takes away 2 of the spicier picks that Light and Reset has kind of been making his bread and butter. The last remaining one is the Janna. Plays a lot of Janna. It's his most played alongside the Mel and the Soraka this season. Listen, Enchanter player, okay? It's like
True.
It be like that sometimes. So
If they just ban it, we're back to Nautilus Rail duty.
or Lucian Nami is a thing.
Oh, true, actually. Emilio
The
as well,
Draven duo is
technically.
not going to be an option, as there will be a ban directed towards Draven Baka's Draven. But yeah, I mean, he's got a lot of options still available. He's played 4 games of Draven. He's played 4 games of Corki. Those are both going to be available. And wow, just all top lane bans directed towards Geiger. Ember wants to make sure that he has a comfortable top lane matchup in this game number 2.
Yeah, they did something similar in the previous game, and they are going to try and replicate that this game as well. The Vladimir, I still do not know what they've seen out of this Vladimir ban to really make it be something as constant as it is. But with the previous game, they first picked the Varus. This time around, they first picked the Lucian. I think pretty similar in the idea they want to go of. And this, like you were mentioning, probably means that we're bound to see either Emilio or Nami getting picked with the Lucian to make the best duo possible. For APR though, Vi was something that I was surprised to not have seen in the previous game. Not surprised that it's coming out now, and then the Ashe try and have a little bit of range advantage going into this matchup.
Yeah, good stuff for Psycho here. And yeah, definitely going to need that range advantage, as you are already well aware that you're staring down a Lucian duo. Could be the Lucian Nami, could be the Lucian Melio. I kind of like the Melio now that you're staring down the Ashe. The ability to Breath of Life away and Enchanted Crystal Arrow could really, really be helpful for you. And that's kind of the trading pattern you're probably more interested in, is the extended range on your Lucian autos to be able to get in there, rather than just the slows where Ashe is already going to start to try to outrange you. So I really kind of want to see Emilio here over a Nami, but we'll see what Light and Reset prefers. So there's going to be Jarvan locked on in for Institutional, favorite of his all season long, with the Vi and the Pantheon both not available, going to default back to that one. Got some creative paths and some nice early power there, but probably it's the Lucian
That's an
Sona
interesting variety.
That is a thing. I have seen a little bit of that throughout OQs. Interesting.
So I can understand the idea
over the more traditional duos, though.
I can understand the idea. You do have like your buff for out attacks, for movement speed, your extra healing. Your trading patterns in lane also are much more bothersome because it's way more consistent. And it's also going to be a Senna support, it looks like. Or this could technically be a Nash support, Senna 80 carry. There's always that variety potential there. But I would assume the idea was going to be the same. I initially was thinking the Nami was something that I liked more just because Tidal Wave to go against the Vi was going to be kind of good. But here, with the Sona, you do still have that ultimate that can lock down someone and stop some sort of initial engage. The bot lane, though, it's going to be kind of spicy. And as we look into the second round of bans, the LeBlanc getting banned away, and I'm pretty sure we're going to see a little bit more focus as well into the mid lane. Maybe something like an Asir as well.
Yeah, I mean, here's my concern, right? Ashe Senna's a squishy bot lane, right?
It
like,
really is.
I'm a little worried about like Song of Celerity on the Lucian. He just dashes in on you and is firing away and chunks Senna for like half of her HP. What do you do? Like, what's the counterplay with this sort of bot lane?
You
for Apex
smile and go
Predators?
away. That's
Yeah,
it.
I mean, you got to believe that this is going to be a really strong laning position for Foxtrot here. I mean, him of Valor, is that the name of Sona Q? I
I won't even try to think that. Like, I won't even try to guess. I haven't played Sona since like I started playing this game. I won't even try.
Crescendo's the only ability name you really need to know, but I think he was called Hymn of Valor. Somebody can fact check me on that if they want. Like that's harass damage. I mean, it's not what it used to be. There were stages in Sona's life where that stuff just completely ruined bot lanes. I don't know if we're cutting that territory, but like just continuous poke damage. I mean, you saw from you saw from Barlow last game just how effective that can be over the course of a laning phase, and the sustain. You know, there's gonna be sustain on both sides, but I gotta believe it's a little bit more powerful from the Sona as long as she's able to keep her mana up. Talia gonna be the lock-in here for Flocon. Really strong duo up with the Vi. I'm surprised that we didn't see a band away, frankly.
Yeah, with so many band away million champions, not surprised that Talia does come through here, and I agree, probably would have been one of those choices. From the remaining pool, I think you can technically go Yone, you can technically go Syndra, also not a bad choice. I was thinking maybe something like the Orianna could also be something to consider. Or you also had the Tristana you could play in the mid lane if you wanted to, but the Syndra still has safety, push away, and 100-0 potential to go against some of these champions. I honestly think Foxtrot needs just with something tankier in the top lane to be able to protect this great carries they have on the back. Could be fine enough. Like a Sion or an Ornn would work out massively well here. I think the Sion even more so, because looking at the composition of APR, they are quite squishy. Like even the Vi is not that tanky. They are going to die really quickly if they get locked down in position.
Yeah, I mean, you can go Cassante, you can go Renekton.
Yeah.
You know, those are other options that Ember's played a fair bit of throughout this season. I think there's no real wrong answers here. There's the Cassante. Comes on through. Yeah, perfectly fine. Going to be a solid lane matchup into whatever Geiger shows you, especially with that Yorick off the board. Geiger's going to go for the Ornn to fill them out in the tankiness department, but I mean...
It's a tank matchup. Yep.
It's a tank matchup. Top lane not going to be where the spice occurs this time around, but I mean, I think the bot lane's going to bring it for us in spades. Senna versus Sona support, two champions that I hadn't seen pick support in a long time prior to tonight. And we're going to see who's going to be able to come out on top. Is Draven, Bucka, and Light and Reset is two players who had never made an ACL playoffs before this split. Have very much impressed me tonight and over the course of the season. I'm excited to see what they can show us on another kind of off-the-wall duo.
Yeah, I'm not like expecting a player that is named after a champion particularly is not typically what I was expecting to perform well in another champion, but he will played really well on the barriers. Clutch, like positioning in some fights, able to play with the poke really effectively as well. And also, I think that managed out situations with the team that were really useful. So I'm excited to see how they will perform. This is one of the quickest ones we've had so far. I'm glad we were able to get in quickly.
Yep. You know, we extended the break a little bit, delayed the draft a little bit, and now we're on to Summoner's Rift. Nice and quickly, everybody. Game number 2 kicking off right now. Foxtrot with a chance to bury this series and put another upset in the books. Apex Predators needing 2 wins in a row to continue on what has thus far been an impressive season from them. Would be quite the heartbreaker to have it end right here.
Yeah, would be not necessarily the best thing to happen, but it certainly would keep really exciting things here in the ACL. So I'm all in for whatever happens here. Everyone stepping here forward, but they will be spotted. They are not going to leave even a word, so they will know 100% that they were here. Could have been a nice trap to play with, but really smart there by Flocon to just move with them just in case, and then go back into the mid lane. No real vision obtained. Actually great move, although quickly. Institutional and Ember going in here to try and spot the red buff just in case, and they are going to see 100% of what the buy will start with.
Yeah. For reference here, Apex Predators, they go 4-1 out of Swiss, and they win the tiebreaker against Pookie Bears, so they are 4th seed in these playoffs. They would end 12th through 9th from 4th seed. That would certainly not be an outcome you were hoping for.
Yeah, if you're a higher seed, you never expect to go lower than your initial seed or one of the initial seeds that you were looking for. Already trading heavily here. We also need to consider it's double AD carry technically on the side of APR, so their traits should be much stronger in general. Oh,
Psycho stepping up, going to pop that barrier on both fronts. Heal also comes out of both supports. At the end of the day, it's Barlow and Psycho who are sitting on much prettier in the health bar department. Light and Reset trying to frontline here, but that's Sona base stats. I mean, those are some low values. Going to be easily fended off by the Ashe Senna.
doesn't she have like one of the lowest base values in the game?
Yeah. Yes, she does. There might be others that are lower now, but for a long time, she was really the poster child of champions with no base stats. I think they've reduced some other problematic carries quite low in the past as well, just to try to kind of keep them in pro jail. But Sona might still be up there, if not the outright winner.
Yeah, that being said, those bot lane traits have been working out so well for the set of APR, and most of it comes down to the fact that they are double range melee 80 double range 80 carries against a double range mage and 80 carry bot lane. That is a pretty big difference maker, because you're always going to win those traits if you're going to deal more damage out of your out attack compared to having to spam your abilities. And that is the big win that I think APR are taking the most advantage out of and making the most in most of these traits.
I mean, the mana costs, the other things that really sink this Sona here. You can see,
yeah,
just spamming these abilities are really doing a number on her mana bar. Light and Reset likely going to prioritize a Tear of the Goddess just to try to up that total. You get opportunities, but in the meantime, it's going to be a little bit of a rougher lane here for Draven Baka and Light and Reset. These trades, the buffs not coming through for Draven Baka the way you might hope. They do get some good early damage, but this might be a kill. Draven Baka has to flash away. Barlow takes a turret shot. It's dangerous territory for a moment. Another Hymn of Valor nearly taking Barlow down. But he does hold on to his flash. Light and Reset. Don't get baited here, brother. There's a flash in. He blocks the volley. Light and Resets the hero. Gets a flash out of Psycho. Saves Draven Baka's life. But there's a wave coming in, and these volleys are still going to be a problem. The level up for Psycho and Barlow. That is just devious. That is going to make things very tough for these two.
Yeah, how long for barrier? Actually, I'm trying to think how long will it take for Draven Baka to have barrier back up. It should be soon. Yeah, it was really close. So I was thinking maybe he thinks that now that he has barrier, he can go back to lane and play around it.
Yeah, he very well might be able to. They are no longer at the level disadvantage. Getting hit by these piercing darknesses, though. Boy, does that hurt. Psycho's low. Draven Baka without the flash, though, can't go too aggressively. Psycho's flash is gone as well. Geiger falling low in this one-on-one up against Ember. And wow, Draven Baka and Light and Reset outlast the bottom lane and are actually at a
they're ahead
lead.
How I need to know how they did it, because like all of those traits should have been enough to not only push them out of lane, but make it so that they would be really far behind. But I guess that the lane just pushed naturally into them so effectively, and they never missed one minion. And that's why they end up being this far ahead, because now the lane also got pushed. They are going to lose some minions on the side of the Ashe, and then they also will get a much better back timing for the Lucian Sona. So it's way better for them. They also are getting there on the time that the Jarvan is already down bot side. So they can set it up for a push into their turret, into a gank from the Jarvan. No flash on the Ashe could be a kill really effectively.
Yeah, we'll have to roll back the VOD later, because this bot lane needs to be studied. It's got to be a combination of factors too, right? Like you said, I think Draven Baka CSing near perfectly. I mean, that's a given to be able to keep up all this CS under the turret. But also, yeah, Barlow and Psycho prioritizing trading over CS. Here comes Coldthrow to try to make it an unfair fight. Light and Reset throwing down the shield and trying to keep him alive. But the damage of 3 members is too much. After all that effort, keeping the Lucian alive, he drops as soon as he gets back to lane.
Yeah, and I feel like the mistake here is Jarvan went mid lane for who knows why. There was no reason for him to come here to mid lane. The timings were there, and it was also around the timing where there was bound to be a buy coming down. So really weird decision there. Really interesting choice by Institutional in there, but also by Draven back and Light and Reset. Going forward like that, not even having any sort of vision and not respecting the potential gank and paying the price with their lives in something that could have been much better for them.
Definitely. Ember still finding these good trades up against Geiger and building up. I mean, individual leads across the board here for Foxtrot, right? They've got
Ember members ahead.
CS lead in top that's actually more substantial than it appears because the wave is bigger for Ember right now. It's pushing into him. Geiger's going to miss more of these CS, and Ember's going to pick up additional ones here. See, more minions just dying to each other where Geiger can't touch them. Just lost 2 more there. It's a lead for Aquanic as well. And that lead for Dravenbaka we talked about. So a very, very strong laning phase coming out of this Foxtrot team. And those are the kinds of things when we're talking about teams with the wacky picks, you know, the Sorakas, the Mel supports, the Vex mids. Usually what you don't see out of them is outlaning some of these more established names. Oh. So here is a cutoff on towards Ember. He's just going to flash over to the other side of the wall. And I mean, 3 members versus 2 members.
Ooh.
Institutional looking for something here. Geiger can break out of this with Searing Charge, but it's not available. The all-out from Ember.
It's working.
And in a 2 versus 3, Foxtrot actually going to come up with kills. Double kill for Ember. And Coulter are going to try to trade it back. But look at the help from the side of Ember's shield. He'll finally drop, but he turns it into a triple feat of warfare to Ember single-handedly.
Yeah, the value out of having better abilities there in that position, so well played, really well prepped, and actually Institutional finding a good angle, not only engaging initially on Geiger, locking him into the ring of the Jarvan ultimate, but also as soon as you have the damage,
there's going to be Enchanted Crusader, connects on a Light and Reset. Dravenbaka with a little moment to return fire here. Light and Reset able to flash on out. And it will just be a successful exchange for Psycho and Barlow. Good angle found there by Psycho.
Yeah, taking advantage of the fact that the Lucian now is lower level than every member in the bot lane. He's going to reach level 6 soon, but even see his support is ahead of him in experience. So going to certainly be an opportunity for them to take advantage of. The Jarvan is also near here, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to find much, considering that he has no ulti nor any sort of advantage against the flash potential.
Aquanic! Aquanic! Solo kill onto Flocon! And I'm sold on Foxtrot now, TDS. I'm sold, baby.
Solo laners, they are performing like we were kind of thinking, but they are executing better than expected. 2 or actually like 3 kills on top lane, 1 kill on mid lane. So much CS differential between the 2 of them, and out of nowhere, who the hell cares about bot lane? These 2 champions are dying to the Syndra every day.
And we came out of game number 1 saying, like, yeah, you know what, Dravenbaka and Light and Reset putting together a pretty solid performance here. Getting a draft of picks that they like, that they're experienced on, performing well up against Psycho and Barlow, and being a big part of why they're able to come on up with that win. And then in this game number 2, it's the veterans, quote unquote, right? Ember and Aquanic, guys who have been in and around ACLs before. And they're just crushing Geiger and Flocon in the one-on-ones. Yeah, Geiger's playing an Ornn lane, but this is an Ornn lane he opted into. He had the counter pick.
Yeah.
And Aquanic against one of the most stable, blindable meta mid laners just picks up a solo kill 10 minutes in.
And he's looking to try and follow up on that, and that goes to show a lot on just the presence of mind on some on the players of how what they are able to do and go for. As a little bit of an engage here, Asharo goes wide. This could be an angle actually. Oh, teleport.
TP being channeled. This is Geiger just leaving top lane.
But Ember is already coming. Ember is already close by.
He's well ahead of this one. They're going to look for the dive. Dravenbaka going to get knocked up. Does have the barrier to be able to stay standing. Dawning Shadow comes on across, and now it's just Geiger
has no
isolated away. He goes unstoppable. He's pulled underneath the turret by the All Out, and Ember arrives to the scene, says, "You're not getting away from me that easy, Geiger." As now it's
the cancel.
Breaking out in the mid lane. Institutional going to be right on top of Flocon. They're going to try to finish off Aquanic. There's the All Out. There's the execution from the Cataclysm, and Institutional Foxtrot needs to try to slip his way back out of here. Jumps back on over towards the flag. Ember here to fend away the bot lane. It ends up being a 1-for-1 in mid and a 1-for-0 in bot. Foxtrot come out on top.
And not gonna lie, that teleport smelled a little bit of desperation coming in from the side of APR. There was no need to go for it. Ash Arrow already failed. They used, or they were trying to prep with the wave, but they didn't know where Ember was. They didn't know that Ember had teleport as well, just in case. And they also didn't know that Institutional could be coming down there. Like, there was way too many incognitas, and trying to pull a dive in this point of the game where Geiger is not really doing the best, is not really at his best, just because he has died multiple times, was way too risky of a play. And they don't get anything. They get 1 kill back onto Aquanic, yes, but Aquanic is still so far ahead in CS that it doesn't really matter. He's still 2-1 compared to the 0-3 of Flowcone.
It really does. There's a scatter the weak. There is a chunk on towards Flowcon. Aquanic really having a solid Syndra performance here in this game number 2 and exerting control over this lane. Once those Syndras start to build up leads, it starts to feel a little bit like the old non-scaly Syndra. It was a lot more lane dominant, the one that Bjergsen was really known for.
The fun one.
And it's, yeah, it's just so hard to play when she actually gets a lead like that. Is something like the Talia as they're going all into the bottom lane. Institutional slowing them down, staying on top. Taking a lot of return fire though. Psycho trying to outplay this one. It will be 2 kills over to Barlow. Institutional finally able to finish off the Ashe, and he's not going to let Barlow go here either. Will be slowed up. Oh, Institutional has to get over the wall. Isn't quite able to do it. He didn't snag the flag with his Dragon Strike. Another one going to take him low. Aquanic gotta land the scatter of the week here. No, he doesn't.
Not even needed.
Connects the Dark Sphere, finishes off the kill. 3-1 to Aquanic. And
he's
not done yet either. He wants to get onto Flowcon. Knows there's no flash on this Talia. And Aquanic will finish off. He's still got Unleashed Power, by the way, but he is getting cease and desisted. Flashback out by Aquanic. Where is the ultimate? Here it comes. But it won't be enough to stop Colthrow, and Scout of the Week will not be available. Institutional is now out of mana. Ember coming in, though, trying to bail out his boys. That's been his job all game long, and he's done a fantastic job of it.
Yeah, it worked out really well. But importantly, they did get a slight win in bot side, getting the kills on both Light and Reset and Draven Baka. So all in all, I think as APR, you have to take that. You have to take that the best possible way. You're shutting down this Lucian. He's really not finding the right plays in this game as of now, and even I'm still surprised that Light and Reset didn't have ulti for that play. I'm not sure where he used it before, but he clearly didn't have it at the time, and that could have been a difference maker for that fight.
Staff of Flowing Water first.
That is an item I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, I mean, because AP and CR, right? To allies.
So it is not a bad item technically, but I'm not sure if it's something you go first, even if it's Sona.
Yeah, it's an interesting one to me for sure. Ooh, Jaded Cristalero nearly connects. I have that extra.
Doesn't look like it's going to be the turret.
Going
actually,
to clear away the wave. Forces Psycho to take 1 shot. Forces Psycho to take 2 shots.
Oh.
And there's Crescendo to hold him still and finish the kill off. Flowcon shows up to try to turn this one back. Draven Baka not slowing down though, continuing to fire away. And whoever's in front of him, he thinks he can take this fight. Heals from Light and Reset, keeping him topped off. And these health bars are low. Look at Aquanic coming in on the flank, looking to clean it up. Will he be able to find one or both? Looks like he already sent out Scatter of the Week and it didn't connect.
It looks like it's going to be neither there, but they do find the Ashe. Psycho ends up dying there. Really good presence of mind there by Light and Reset. Quick flash, stun with the ulti, and they find a really nice kill in that position. Now, it would have been better if it went into the Lucian, just because he does need to be a little bit ahead. Really nice steal there by Colthrow. But the game is still in a spot where those advantages that Foxtrot are getting are more valuable than the ones that APR are able to get, because it feels like they are able to turn that into something more meaningful. They already have the 3 crops, they have 1 dragon apiece, and they are looking for this Rip Herald, where APR are getting kills back, but it's getting kills back to salvage a little bit of the game. Oh,
Colthrow and Draven Baka fighting each other in a dark alley. Draven Baka steals it!
He got it! Of course he got it.
That's a tilter. I mean, damn, Colthrow. I'm sorry that happened to you, brother. You want to talk about it?
Probably not. Probably don't need to talk much about it. Look, it happens, okay, sometimes. We're not expecting things to get stolen from us. Funnily enough, he's even using the buy police skin and just gets something stolen under his nose. Just like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
That explains why Piltover is the way it is, actually.
Yeah, the police force just lacking. It's certainly true. Oh, there's a little fight breaking out in towards mid. I saw cease and desist come out across. No, not quite yet. Here it comes.
Yep,
on towards Draven Baka. They will be able to blow up the Lucian. Cataclysm connects onto 2. Ember has TP'd into the fray. Is looking to find stuns out of the back line. Trying to focus on towards Barlow. He's going to have to flash back away. There's Ember to finish off the kill. He's massive on this Cassante, and he turns it into a 1-for-1.
Not gonna lie, I'm not sure what Barlow did to them because they ignored Psycho completely, all to kill the Senna. That still had flash, by the way. Kind of an interesting decision there, but it's a 1-for-1.
Barlow's got the better scoreline.
Well, technically that's also true. Weirdly enough, it's working out for them in that sense, but looking at it that way, it is 80 carry for 80 carry because they did kill the Senna and the Lucian, so I guess an equal trade to a certain degree. I would even argue there, like, Lucian has less gold probably than the Senna.
Maybe?
So it's Black Cleaver, boots, and a component to Essence Reaver, no tier 1 boots, and a BF sword. I think it's pretty close if it's not the same.
I think there's probably more gold on Draven Baka's build, but I do also not want to discount the support item because it does the Blood Song. Does do
plus the ghouls.
There's good gold value in Blood Song, even though it's an item that costs nothing.
It's surprising to say the least, but Bardo hits like an 80 carry. At the very least, at this point, he does feel like he's hitting like an 80 carry.
Yeah, for sure. Is Lightning Reset building Archangels? I think he is.
Well, he does have the tier, so getting the extra mana probably works out there. Oh.
Full combo on an Institutional. They're going to try to one-shot him. He's actually staying alive for a long time. Lightning Reset threw a heal over the wall, but doesn't want to get caught in this Call to Forge God. So we'll have to let the jungler go. Apex Predators full send it into the enemy jungle on the ramp, and they come up with a free kill. Well done.
Yeah, one good kill there. Important that they are able to find some value elsewhere because they are kind of like in a spot where they need to find multiple opportunities with their sideline push, plus also the fact that they are not really that far ahead. But Flowcone is doing a good job pushing waves. They are also doing a good job trying to get mid lane turret as soon as possible. There's no objective though, so it doesn't feel like they can try and fight for anything else at this point.
Yeah, so just a little bit of a 5 minutes of doom, as some might say. There's not going to be too much to play for. Everybody ping-ponging waves, everybody building up farm. Little extra play found by Apex Predators, of course, to be able to jump on Institutional. Get a little bit more money back into the pockets. I do think it is somewhat a concern for Apex Predators that all their kills are on Vi and Senna. I think they really do wish that Lokon could be a little bit more competitive here, especially going for the Archangels first. It's just his rocks are going to tickle here. Maybe he'll be able to get a Leandries done in time for the next dragon, but that's still going to be a pretty low damage build, especially against the likes of this Cassante.
Actually, no, it did connect. So yeah, the damage from Flowcone needs to be considered just because of the amount of repeat damage that you can get down. The problem is that how many times you can get that going in your favor, right? That's where you need to be looking at, as Bardo is going to be having a fun enough time that he's not going to be scared. Flowcone didn't spell them.
Ooh, and there goes the flash. Nice move by Foxtrot there. And they're going to look to start up the Otacon. TP being channeled. Geiger's getting over here. They recognize the threat. They're going to challenge for this. Enchanted Crystal Arrow can be fired out. Psycho is so far away, though. They might just look to take the fight. Enchanted Crystal Arrow gets split between the uprights. They find Flowcone, and Aquanic one-shots him. Cold Throw is snagged by a Q3 coming out of Ember. And there is going to be the Dawning Shadow.
Oh, the healing.
Targets low, but Draven Baka and Light Reset are staying alive. And they're fight breaking out on the backside. They're going to advance forward on towards Geiger, seeing who they can melt down.
Psycho.
Institutional is all over Psycho. Draven Baka continues to fire away. And this is going to be a 4-for-0 sweep for Foxtrot.
Now they want to get the Senna as well, but it looks like she's going to be fast enough. Such a good fight there by Foxtrot, finding the important targets there. But huge props to Ember for keeping away the buy so long. He actually dominated Coldthrow and Geiger, keeping them from just being able to arrive to the Atakan at the right time. And then also for how Institutional played it. Yes, he did get, like, he gets the Atakan pretty effectively after the mismite from Coldthrow, but then immediately 2 engages, one on one side and then the other trying to kill Psycho, finds the Ashe in a really bad spot with no flash, gets the kill really effectively, and then the fight is over immediately after that. So well positioned to try and deal with those double AD carries. And like we were mentioning, as far as you kill those 2, which should be kind of easy for them, the rest of the team fight is easily manageable. But then also Aquanic just one-shotting Flowcone makes it kind of impossible for them to even force a fight in that position.
Yeah, and for me, you know, Institutional played it out well. Lightning Reset and Dravenbach, I had a solid little team fight there, staying alive with slivers of HP. But the story of this game stays the solo laners for me. Ember, as you said, marking Coldthrow the whole fight long, lands a sick third and Tofo strike to interrupt Vault Breaker, stop some of that mobility coming through out of Coldthrow. And Aquanic marking, isolating, executing Flowcon, who is completely taken out of the game.
You could technically say that those 5 kills from Aquanic are just killing Flowcone by just looking at the scoreboard. It's 5 and 2 to 0 and 5.
Is that the case? It might be.
I think he got 1 off of killing like by once, and that's it. But like, it's technically the case, and it's just such a dominating game by them. Oh.
Yeah, Ember arrives. I don't think he wants to take this fight, but certainly it feels dangerous. And with those members
really
going top, they're just going to all in on the Flowcon again. The guy can't play the video game. It's another kill over to Dravenbach, and they're going to get an inner off of this.
It's going to be turret. They are going to try and collapse here, knowing that Ember doesn't have teleport, but Senna is going to keep them healthy. Doesn't really matter.
Foxtrot are about to 2-0 the number 4 playoff seed out of the playoffs.
He's just dead.
Geiger is dead. And there's just no stopping these guys. They're grouped up as 5. They're picking off members one at a time. The base is getting broken, and they're going to try to force for more. If they can kill 1 or 2 more, the game might just end right here. Coldthrow coming in to try to cut the wave on the backside. Going to take some shots to the back from Dravenbach. And they will finish off the inhibitor. Foxtrot, base broken open on Soul Point. 6K gold lead. Taking a reset to spend their winnings.
Yeah, and I'm not sure what they gave to these Foxes out of nowhere, that they are just rushing onto people, destroying them, controlling them, being such menaces in the Rift against teams that theoretically we thought were going to be above them in some situations, but they are playing so well, so ready to react. They are following up really well on plays. They are acting really well on the decision making on someone like Institutional, that it's willing to pull the trigger whenever something has to happen. And you can look at the difference in just in CS between the junglers. He has completely opted out of being impactful with the CS. He wants to be just making plays for the team.
Yeah. And I mean, this was supposed to be a soft side of the lower bracket for Apex Predators, man. I mean, I just don't know what to say. Apex Predators, they got Foxtrot here in the lower round 3, which is top 8. They're going to play against either Deathmark or Next Level Esports, whoever wins over on that side. Should have been a winnable matchup for Apex Predators. I guess it's going to be a winnable matchup for Foxtrot now. Is a challenge for the Baron. This is the last stand for Apex Predators. Baron down below 8K. Here comes Coldthrow over the wall. Full sending it. Needs to steal it. And he gets it. Objective bounty secured for Apex Predators, but it's at the cost of Coldthrow's life. Flowcon, you know he's not staying alive. And Foxtrot will get the 2 for 0. Maybe a little bit more. Geiger getting hunted down. Nowhere left to go. Will fall down. And it is up to the bot lane to keep the game alive with their Baron buff for 30 seconds.
Yeah, there is a wave in mid lane. There is a wave in top lane. There are no minions yet pushing out of the base, but it should be soon enough. But they can just commit and engage. Institutional has ulti, no flash on either carry or AD carry.
Yeah, and now Aquanic gonna find that spot, gonna nearly one-shot Barlow. Barlow will
We
be able
can
to stay
win.
standing for the time being, but the Nexus
Oh,
turns are
Psycho.
falling lower. Psycho's getting isolated. He's getting blown up by this
That's
damage
it.
from Jarvan. And that is it. Foxtrot 2-0 will take down the number 4 playoff seed in Apex Predators and lock themselves top 8.
To everyone's surprise, maybe not to Foxtrot's fans' surprise, but that was such a well-played game too. I think I like their game 2 much more than their game 1, because I think game 1 was more competitive. There were multiple opportunities for both sides, but it was trying to claw back after being down for a long part of the game from Foxtrot. But the second game, they won their soul lanes. Their bot lane was doing a little bit weird, but they were able to still be part of the game and even have a slight lead in CS. And then as soon as they were able to get out of lane, they were making plays together really well. They were finding or playing around their strong points, the Syndra and the K'Sante really well, and they were able to control objectives really effectively, making most of the time just ineffective whatever the side of APR wanted to do. And it's just such a well-played game in general for them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm shocked here. I came into this match expecting a 2-0 in a week where a lot of the matches feel quite one-sided. And it is a dominant showing from Foxtrot here to close things out. Apex Predators are eliminated from the Spring 2025 ACL. And I mean, we got to start putting some respect on Foxtrot's name, TDS.
100%.
From an 0-2 GSL stage to the reverse sweep, qualifying for playoffs at 4-2, taking a close series, losing a close series against Pookie Bear, and now taking down 2 dangerous ACL teams in a row. A 2-1 versus Legacy, and now a 2-0 against Apex Predators. I mean, it feels like the sky's the limit here. Next Level Esports at Deathmark, the winner of that series will be their opponent in the next round. I think both of those opponents look beatable for Foxtrot based on what we saw here tonight. And then you're in the money, baby. You're cashing out.
Yeah, you're getting closer and closer to the actual point where you're happy. So for Foxtrot, I would say much
I mean,
more
you should
than
be happy now. Top 8.
Yeah, they're still doing a great job. This is something like we always mention this because it is important looking at the qualifying season. Whenever you are able to perform to this level, this does bring the attention of other teams and players. Like this brings your stock up. These are the team that they just beat were I think 1 or maybe 2 series away from OQ elimination tournament, right? Yep. That is a huge boost to your stock in terms of just being able to play in general.
Yeah, I mean, Aquanic previously capping out at top 16, and now Ember/Maces, formerly known as Maces, will match his all-time best finish at top 8. He was on Chaotic Solar way back in the early days of ACL, where he was able to make that run. And then for institutional Draven Block and Light and Reset, I've said it before, I'll say it again, in their very first ACL playoffs here, will make it to the top half. We'll make it up to top 8. So top 25% of the teams in the tournament can't be mad at that one, and a real chance to be able to go even further. I mean, this is a team to watch for the rest of the ACL for certain. A real dangerous lower bracket. It goes to show you that at this level, nothing is guaranteed. Anybody can beat anybody on the day. Looking around the rest of the league, Pookie Bears have taken a 2-0 over Flippers. That will eliminate Flippers and move Pookie Bear to top 8. Prosperity over on the Salt Mine in the process of finishing up Mint Gaming. They are currently up 33-8 with a 14k gold lead. So Prosperity going to 2-0 that series. And it's been updated on the sheet now, so it looks like they're a little bit ahead of the stream. Prosperity Esports going to move on to top 8 as well. Mint Gaming eliminated. And Next Level Esports and Deathmark are going to game 3. They are 1-1 right now. So the winner of that series will be playing up against Foxtrot on Friday. And this league just got a whole lot more interesting, TDS. I don't know what to make of this team.
Yeah, I was actually just quickly thinking, Flippers was in the same group as Foxtrot, right? In the GSL matches. I'm looking quickly on it, and I think it is. They were.
Yes, Flippers and Legacy. were
So
both.
they 2-1 the team that they lost to, and Flippers also got 2-0'd.
Yes.
So they are
the last
only
team
remaining
standing from their GSL group that they owed to.
Yeah,
Yes.
after starting 2-0-2.
Yeah.
Goes to show that you can never take that initial result as anything.
I dig the format, baby. I like it a lot. Congrats to Foxtrot for a win here. Doesn't look like we'll be able to piece together an interview today, so we are going to send everybody over to ADL, where their series is still ongoing. Thank you, everybody, for hanging on out with us here. We're going to be back on Friday with another round of ACL. There'll be upper bracket and lower bracket games, TBD, which one we are going to be streaming, but you're going to want to be here. It's going to be same bat time, same bat Twitch channel here at 8 Eastern. Shout out once again to Zen Market. Remember, that is code Aegis for 1,000 yen off your first international shipping fee. Thank you again to Zen Market. Thank you to you guys for hanging out with us, for myself, TDS, and Caddy on production. Have yourselves a great night, and we'll see you next time.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
Zen Market.
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。